welcome everyone to our community interview today. I'm really excited to kick off our series for 2019. Before we get started officially, I'm going to go over a few housekeeping notes for the group. So the first thing is, please feel free to tweet during the interview. Would appreciate it if you use the hashtag #SFDORA. And for those of you who are new, how these interviews work is usually I'll ask questions to our guests for the first 10-15 minutes. And then after that, I open up the floor and anyone is welcome to ask questions. And this time too, if you don't necessarily feel comfortable asking questions in English, you're also welcome to ask them in Spanish. So please feel free to do that as well. And then at this point, I think I'm ready to officially kick off the interview. So welcome to our first DORA community interview of 2019. I am Anna Hatch, the community manager for DORA, which stands for the Declaration on Research Assessment, if you're not familiar. So our community interview series are really meant to provide a space to discuss innovation in research assessment. And our goal is to help each other through these conversations and to learn how we can start creating effective change in our own local communities. And today I am so excited and so very pleased because we're lucky enough to have both Dominique Babini with us from CLACSO, as well as Arianna Becerril García from Redalyc to talk about research assessment and publishing in Latin America. And so before I officially start asking questions, I just want to check in with both you, Arianna, and Dominique. Is there anything that you would like to add?
We want to thank DORA and participants for your interest in publishing and evaluation in our region. Thank you so much.
I'm delighted to be here today. Thank you, Dora. Thank you, Anna, for the invitation. And thank you, everybody that is connected.
Great. So I'll start off with asking you if, Arianna, could you briefly describe the publishing system in Latin America?
Well, yeah, briefly. Well, Latin American region has a unique characteristic. This region maintains a non-commercial publishing structure that has been under academic culture. In the DORA tradition, neither authors nor readers are asked to pay for the access to or the participation in the publishing structures. Each imperative system that isn't formalized nor made explicit, but every institution supports journals with its own faculty members, and the content of each journal is made available in open access. So each institution's investment in journals benefits all the other institutions. This kind of informal cooperative was already working for the open access coding label. That's an interesting key fact.
Nice. So then, Dominique, what do you think would be the most distinctive features of this system compared to the rest of the world?
I would say that the transition of these journals funded and published by the universities and research institutions, as Arianna mentioned, the transition to open access was led by scholarly institutions and with public funds. Redalyc, Cielo are the main drivers of this transition to open access, with no APCs, and helping journals to improve the quality and develop indicators. So that's the most important characteristic.
Yeah. And so I think this really builds on to my next question, which is aimed at both of you. So how do both CLACSO and Redalyc then fit into the publishing landscape? And do you want to start with that, Dominique, and then Arianna, I can have you jump in afterwards?
Yes, well, we have been working for more than a decade, Redalyc and CLACSO, working together to promote non-scholarly to promote scholarly-led, non-commercial open access in the region. CLACSO is the main social science publisher in Latin America. We started 2 decades ago working with editors and libraries from our network. And today, CLACSO's catalog has more than 3,000 books. And Redalyc has invited us to join them in their peer review collection of journals, more than 900 social science and humanities journals. And now they had invited us to join them in AmeliCA, which is a program led by Arianna, and to strengthen open access publishing and indicators in universities.
Nice.
Well, I could describe Latin American ecosystem more or less as a structure composed by different layers. On the base, it is supported by hundreds of university presses. Then platforms like CLACSO, as Dominique said, and Redalyc provide journals with a set of added value features and services that in other parts of the world are provided by commercial publishers. For example, in the case of Redalyc, Redalyc provides journals with technology to get XML typesetting on their IATS standard. And through this work, journals get automatically the PDF, HTML, and EPUB file formats for the articles. It also provides novel mechanisms to increase journals' visibility and discoverability, services of interoperability, search engine optimization, metrics, usage tracking, etc. So Redalyc contributes, and CLACSO, to the publishing landscape by performing tasks that complement efforts from the academic institutions.
Yeah. So then, sort of transitioning now back into the research assessment side of things, then what are the factors that govern career enhancement of researchers in Latin America? Do you want to take a stab at this first, Dominique?
Well, main problem we have in the region is that while science policy speeches promote a model of researcher which is committed to knowledge transfer and social commitment, the evaluation practices encourage a classic academic profile because it uses the impact factor and the citation, which contributes to promotion and tenure, and which contributes to the position of the university in the rankings. So in areas as environment, agriculture, health, socioeconomic issues, this is a real handicap for Latin American researchers because we need research to also assess the social impact of research being carried in the region.
Yes, well, in fact, in Latin America, as in many other regions, unfortunately, research assessment is journal-based, which means, as Dominique said, it is impact factor, Simago journal rank sample. National and institutional research assessment systems have made an abusive and irresponsible use of those metrics, especially taking into consideration that source databases, I'm talking about Web of Science or Scopus, provide a very low representation of Latin American publications, which means that a big part of science published in the region is ignored. So research assessment implies a very high bias in the region.
Mm-hmm. I really liked the idea of measuring or the need to measure societal impacts of research, and I'm wondering if either of you have any ideas of the best ways to measure societal impacts. Either of you can answer this one.
Well, sorry, Arianna.
That's okay, though.
In the case of CLACSO, when it started its program, CILEU, a program to assess graduate and undergraduate social science university courses in the region, it developed other indicators which related to the circulation of critical knowledge produced in Latin America, the circulation within the bibliography of the courses, and also the detection and actions in inequalities that appear in the university context as gender inequalities or race inequality or socioeconomic inequalities, and also looking at the collaboration of the universities with the context, with other stakeholders who should benefit from the research or from the programs or the courses delivered at the university. So it's only an example, and another example is all activities promoted by CLACSO have to have gives priority to activities where we have participants which are non-academics. I mean stakeholders which are related to the subject of research.
Nice. Arianna, did you have anything to add?
Yes, Dominique mentioned before that Redalyc and CLACSO recently launched a program that is called AmeliCA, an open knowledge South. And this initiative that is supported, by the way, by UNESCO, set up various projects in this project, umbrella project, and one of them are related to metrics, metrics that allow us to think on better ways to assess research, to explore the interdisciplinarity, to improve data sources, to understand the dynamics of the formation of communities. All of this in terms of to measure social impact, applicability, local problems, the capacity of a researcher to build a community, the disciplinary contribution or the contribution to a scientific conversation, etc. So we are working in this multi-institutional project in Latin America to make a proposal in this very critical issue in Latin America. So we are working on that.
That's exciting. Okay, so I probably have a couple questions left to ask. So I invite everyone else who's here listening to start asking questions in the chat feature, and we'll start getting to those soon. But please start writing them down. Okay, so one of the other big questions that I wanted to ask both of you was if so both of your institutions have signed DORA, and I'm curious to know if signing DORA has led to behavior change or how you're starting to see changes within your own organization. Do you want to start with that, Dominique?
Well, the first change for CLACSO when we signed was starting recommending our member institutes and journals to sign DORA as a way to promote an evaluation review within our region. We have to remember that our region is the most unequal region in the world, so we need a serious review of the evaluation process to see that we reward and we assess research which deals with local problems and needs in this region.
Mm-hmm. Well, within the past 15 years, we have witnessed from Redalyc a decline in the academic and open nature of the environment we were describing before. Among other facts, many research evaluation systems at national and institutional levels have been transformed in the case of Mexico and Colombia, instead of assessing publication and researchers with custom strategies. So at Redalyc, we celebrated DORA declaration. We definitely shared DORA's vision. And we believe that to accelerate meaningful change, journals and publishing platforms should lead by example. So for that reason, Redalyc not only signed DORA as an organization, but also added one mandatory element to our journal's selection criteria that explicitly requires signing DORA. And as a result of this strategy, currently we have received more than 500 journal editors. Maybe you, Anna, could update this after this, but we have received almost 550 DORA editors signatures to DORA from Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, Costa Rica, and more. So we are very happy to have encouraged editors in the discussion among those editors.
Okay, I see some, and so one is wondering if understood you correctly that tenure motion in Latin America in certain fields, but not necessarily all, are tied to impact, traditional bibliometrics like the H-index and impact factor.
Yes, it's true. It is that, unfortunately. It is a very conservative view. This is why it is so important that the DORA Declaration and the Leiden Declaration are promoted within the region. And it's unfortunately linked to the ranking, to the university rankings. And as Arianna mentioned, only a small portion of research outputs from our region are present in Scopus and in Web of Science. So it is a real problem in our region.
Yeah, and then, so I'm going to jump down to one question for both of you. And so this is, according to your experience, what is the position of the Science and Technology Councils in Latin America about DORA principles? And then I'll read the follow-up because they go together well. And do you think that these councils will adhere to these principles in the near future to promote changes in evaluation practices for tenure and promotion of academics or funding access?
Well, the Global Research Council, which gathers the national research councils worldwide, will have its annual meeting in Sao Paulo, Brazil, next May. So we hope that DORA be present at that meeting because we know that Plan S, the European proposal, which we are critical about, will be there presenting. So we hope that DORA will be there presenting to support a review of the evaluation process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for the question, a very good question. But the national research councils are need to know more about DORA and the DORA principles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely agree. I think contacting funders and national councils of science at every Latin American country would cause a domino effect that could impact academic institutions in favor of a research assessment transformation. So I think it would be a key task for every country to contact, invite, and make these efforts to get the signature from the National Councils of Science and Technology.
Nice. Okay, and then so another question we have is looking about what can be done at the department level to promote better impact assessment systems. Do you want to take that one, Arianna?
Well, yes, it's something that sometimes needs about research assessment is the separation, taking different areas a different research evaluation system. I mean, social sciences and humanities have its own ways of interact, ways of publishing, different formats, different kinds of discourse, and in the case of sciences, it's different. So maybe we can just start by taking this discipline into consideration in different ways.
Mm-hmm. And then, okay, and I think I can take the next question. And so this one was, someone recently went to Chile to talk about research assessment and DORA, and they were surprised that not many scientists knew about the initiative, and is there a plan to talk and discuss DORA more aggressively in Chile and other Latin American countries? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely yes. And so one of our advisory board members, Christian Gonzalez, is from Chile and working very hard to spread news and updates about research assessment reform and DORA there. And I hope to that will spread further. And I'm hoping to plan a trip there soon. So DORA might be more active there in July. All right. And then another question from John, who says, thank you. And he says, given that in Europe and further, everyone's going a little bit bonkers about Plan S, what do you think those behind Plan S and those it will affect can learn from the extensive history of Latin America in promoting and leading open access and open science in the last 2 decades or so, especially now given the announcement of AmeliCA?
Well, I have just put there the URL. The International Science Council has invited us to give our opinion about Plan S, and it has been published 2 minutes ago. So
Awesome.
It's just from today, and I will post it as a feedback to Plan S feedback web page. But it's only in this URL now because it's 2 minutes ago it was published. But we have a very critical view on Plan S because we have a tradition in Latin America of consultation. And you cannot launch an international plan like Plan S without an international consultation. Plan S, if it wants to be international, it has to be considering diverse realities from Africa, Asia, Latin America, North America, Europe. But it's Eurocentric, and it's a plan that looks at taking care of the industry mainly. Publishers are a main actor in Plan S, so we are not happy with that. Arianna, I don't know how you see it. You have published, please put the URL of your blog post, which is fantastic, Arianna. Please do it.
Thank you, Dominique. I'm going to share the link. A couple of weeks ago, we published a comparison between AmeliCA and the way Latin America is working on open access and how it's working on publishing, and compared to Plan S. So we have also a very critical opinion about Plan S in terms of this Eurocentric vision of Plan S that is leaving behind all the scientific activity that is done in other regions and its cultures and idiosyncrasy in other regions. And we also we are not very happy with this Plan S because we believe that it only regulates commercial agreements or commercial contracts in terms of APC. Somehow APC is legitimated through Plan S. And in the case of Latin America, we are not working under this APC model. So the decisions taken in Europe should, or maybe they are going to disrupt the ecosystem in Latin America because scientists in Latin America are going to ask or are going to challenge or to face the critical situation to ask for money to publish in those journals. And also we have a lot of worries about the situation of our journals in Latin America, because if a researcher in Europe wants to publish in a Latin American journal, I wonder if this Latin American journal must follow or fulfill the criteria of Plan S. So we have not to forget that those regions have to interact between each other. So this Eurocentric or more isolated vision is harmful for the rest of the world. So we believe open access to science deserves a global conversation, and research assessment, as DORA is doing, deserves this global conversation. So we really thank DORA because of to cause this global conversation. But I think Plan S should consider that the decisions made in Europe could affect other regions.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now I see we're getting a little bit short on time, so I'm going to ask one final question. But then I'm also wondering, there's a couple questions that we weren't able to get to. If I share with you two later, if maybe you'd be willing to answer them on Twitter? If that would be okay?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Okay, so then the question that we'll end with is, if supporting local and regional research is a priority, how can research assessment procedures be adjusted to reward research projects at that scale and that level?
Well, in our case, in CLACSO, when we provide grants and when we provide funds for activities, we are free to choose more diverse indicators to reward proposals that we receive. And CLACSO has an important program of review of research evaluation in social sciences. But in the region in general, we depend on the national research councils, which are the main funders of research. And we need those research funders to acknowledge that Latin America has 20 years of development of open access indicators. Those indicators of Redalyc and Cielo have to be in the first places with Scopus and Web of Science, because they are also quality journals, they are also peer review, and they are cited in journals which are not in Web of Science and Scopus, which are the databases that are taken in account for international rankings, which are commercial products. So that replies to one of the questions of the chat also.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree. Take into consideration regional platforms such as Redalyc, CLACSO, Redalyc, as quality sources to index scientific content is very important. And also recognize open access research and open access platforms as essential to dissemination of science. Research assessment systems must recognize that open access is doing difference in Latin America.
Great. Thank you guys so much for your thoughts. And so with that, I'm going to end the conversation here because we're rapidly running out of time. But I'll take all of the questions that we haven't answered yet and share them with Arianna and Dominique, who have graciously agreed to answer them on Twitter. So if you look for that later today using the hashtag #DORA, you'll be able to find them. And with that, I just want to do another big thank you to everyone for joining us, especially to Dominique and Arianna. It's so kind of you to give us your times to talk about assessment. The audio and summary will be made available on the DORA blog in approximately a week. And so if you've registered on Eventbrite, I'll send that back out through there so you can share it with your friends and colleagues. And then a next note is that our next interview will take place in April with Peter Severson of the Federation for Humanities and Social Sciences in Canada, and he's going to talk about a report that he helped create about improving assessment in the humanities and social sciences. And with that, I would like to say thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.